This is JBM from VillainNews. Production has finally started on the It remake, based off the Stephen King novel and the 1990 miniseries two-part movie made for TV back in 1990. I mean, only Stephen King could turn in a 1,000-page novel filled with this much filler and turn it into a classic horror franchise. It's all about the villain. The ending is really poor, but the villain of the that takes form of a clown to lure in the kids, just a classic concept. And Tim Curry really defined the character of Pennywise the clown. So terrifying, especially for kids of my generation. This was like the first horror movie I was allowed to see that really terrified me. And yeah, and for the restrictions that the miniseries had for being on TV, they really captured a great amount of suspense and horror and deep, dark moments with Pennywise that are really terrifying. But they took a lot of the hardcore like things that Stephen King basically just sat down, wrote this novel, and just put every single curveball and twist that you could imagine into the script. The concept is it's a group of 7 losers, geeks, dweebs, fat kids who form a group, a club, obviously, and they're bullied in town. And there's also a curse upon the town of Pennywise, who occurs every 30 years. And obviously they fight them when they were kids, and then 30 years later they make a pact to come back to the town and defeat Pennywise once and for all. But it looks like they're gonna follow the book a little bit closer, because like in the book I don't know, they better follow the book closer. If not, because why do it? Because it'll just tamper the miniseries. Most of it was filler anyway. It was like each character's own story of how they met Pennywise, and it was all generic. Like the fat kid got picked on for being fat. The girl had an abusive father. There was a dweeb who had an overprotective mother. You name it. A kid with a speech impediment. It was basically all a bunch of little Stephen Kings, like in every character growing up, the geek. And anyway, like I was saying, Tim Curry really defined that character and made that character really scary. So just get it out of your minds. They're not going to hire Tim Curry for the remake. I mean, he's like 67 years old. He's still acting, but they're not going to go. He's too old and fat basically now. And when they decide to do remakes and stuff, they want to do it in their own way. They're not doing it as like a farewell tour, like, hey, come back and slip back into the role, which is understandable. But I swear to God. Okay, so you want to know who's directing it? Here's a picture of him. He probably hates that picture. It's the director of Eyre. Oh my God, okay, I did so much freaking research for this movie. I'm probably not the only one in the world who did the research for this movie this weekend. I watched the miniseries on Saturday night, all in one take, over 3 hours on YouTube, 28 parts. I got Stephen King mind raped all weekend, all Saturday night. And then on Sunday, I watched his movie, his first big budget movie, because he's done a bunch of, well, I guess he did one full-length feature, Sombre or something stupid. And he did like mini films. Anyway, he did Jane Eyre, The Tale. It's one of those 1800s novels that's like becomes legendary over time, but it's not as good as a story as a Jane Austen story like Pride and Prejudice. He tried to film it like it was Pride and Prejudice, a combination of like atonement and like Sense and Sensibility, but it was none of those. The story isn't that good. First off, the movie's already been done like 5 other times since like the 40s. It really didn't need another adaptation with that Mia Wasikowski girl who's not even hot. And of course, Michael Fassbender. Oh my god, okay, you guys ready for this one? I swear to God, if he hires a flavor of the month actor like Michael Fassbender to play like Pennywise, I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna rant about it on YouTube if it happens. He better not just, because Michael Fassbender, okay, he's playing an android in a Ridley Scott film. Now he's playing Magneto. Oh, now he's playing a psychopath. What rate? Oh, now he's playing an 18th century English gentleman. Like, give me a break with this guy. He's like the Sam Worthington of right now. He's like the Colin Farrell of 03. He's like, oh man. They better get a character who already has an established, like, who's like a guy who's established and he has his own character kind of personality. And the Pennywise character is an old, intimidating, creepy clown. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be someone with an old, deep, dark voice. Only people that I could come up with for the casting of it as a suggestion would be Jim Cary. Definitely could pull it off. He's about the same age as Tim Curry. Timothy Oliphant, he's about 40. He'd be a perfect, if he would be willing to go for it and if they'd be willing to hire him for it, he could definitely pull it off. Oh, and here's a dark horse. He might be too young. He's only 31 in 2012 as we stand right now, but you ready for it? Macaulay Culkin as Pennywise the Clown. Watch Party Monster. He hasn't even been that active recently. His brothers get more work than him nowadays. Oh, he's so into drugs now, but he'd be so really good at Pennywise if he just went for it. But who knows? Alright, you could hate me now. You know what? They should hire Seth Green to play a grown-up character in the movie now. Definitely hire him as the grown-up dweeb. That'll be unnecessary, for sure. Anyway, this was JBM from VillainNews. I pretty much got all the thoughts on it. The facts will be in the description right below the video and whatnot. I went through most of the facts and opinions, and yeah, I'm done getting mind raped by Stephen King now. I did way too much preparation for this video. This was JBM from VillainNews.